So I got them fit up in place where they're gonna be. And you'll notice it's cut kind of like a boot. Told Joey we was new boot goofing here. But that makes it look really slick, how it transitions out of the pipe right there with the bend and getting it stretched out like that. That gets a bunch of weld engagement. So I don't think I'll put a gusset on this one just because I've got pretty much double the pipe diameter across there. So now the challenge will be to take it all apart and see if I can get it out of there without, or with the pipes, the wastegate pipes on. So let's see how it goes. Well, that was a success. Didn't even have to take off the limiters or anything. Hooray! So, time to mark these wastegates, cut the holes, weld them up. Let's get to it. So I've got everything welded up. Even got the back pressure sensor put in here, which I had forgot to mark, but I pretty well know where it needs to go, so I went ahead and put it in. So I've got it on the vise now, and I'm gonna cut these holes out for the wastegates before I go home. That way, when I come in here early in the morning, I can go ahead and clean these up, weld the gate tubes on, and I can put this thing back on the car for good as far as the mock-up process goes. So I've welded the flanges to the gates stubs already. These look like little shoes, but made them as short as I could. That way they'd be strong and wouldn't be, you know, a lot of weight hanging really far off the pipe. Also, this is about twice the size hole as the actual feed to the gate will be. So got a bunch of reference in here, so we should be able to get away with 50s without having to upgrade to 60mm gates. I'd normally put a 60mm gate on this setup, or two of them, but we already had 50s, and I think it'll be fine for what we're doing, especially if we give it enough reference. So let's cut these holes out, and then we'll go to the house and pick it back up early tomorrow morning. So Tycon delivered yesterday, and we've got some titanium. Got our straight piece there of 039, and got the elbow and the reducer here. So I've already got it tacked together and trimmed, and it goes in there like so. We've got plenty of room behind there. It's not going to hit anything. Plus, coming up through here, it's still going to give us room for a burn down tube there off the front of the valve cover. So before I get started today, I'm going to weld this up, just this section where it'll be done, before I swap the welder stuff over to do some aluminum I got to do. You might have noticed the camera view has changed a little bit. My previous videos and maybe the first part of this video, there is a chip in the screen right there, right in the top corner of the viewing area. And this is a brand new camera, so I'm going to keep using it, so I just have to change my field of view where you can't see it up in the top corner right there. You see a floating bubble sometimes in the other videos. That's what it is. It's a little chip. I don't know whether I haven't dropped it. Maybe a piece of grinding material or something hit it and chipped it. But anyway, let's get this argon flowing and weld this titanium up. Okay, it's Saturday today. We're back on the race car again. Hadn't got a whole lot done this week, just some little stuff. And today we're gonna take care of some more little stuff. I'm gonna wait on the downpipe and stuff till I get Joey here to help me put the front end on. And I'm gonna basically build up to the bottom of the hood and use some scrap. Let me just show you what I'm gonna do. So I'm basically, well, I've already got something mocked up here. I'm gonna take that scrap aluminum and I'm gonna mock it up to the bottom of the front end with it on the car and mark the underside of the hood. Basically make the tip and everything underneath there, and go ahead and cut the hole in the hood like it's supposed to be. And then when I make the actual titanium piece, I'll make it just a little bit longer where it comes up flush with the hood. But that's basically how it's going to look right there. You can see there's plenty of room and stuff. Might have already showed you all this, but I can't remember. It's been several days and I can't remember yesterday half the time. So today, one little thing we're going to do, we're going to put these coils on these brackets. These brackets are going to go on the firewall. These are from Maven Performance. I showed you, I think in last week's video we got them in. Maybe it's been this week's video, I don't know. But really nice kit that Jared sells. Comes with the hardware. the spacers. So we're going to get all these put together where we can hold them in place and see where they need to go. Got them all mounted up. Looks really clean. Got this little bead roll in the firewall here. I actually left the nuts on the back of them, the ones that Jared provides with it. And we had some more nuts that I just, there was enough sticking out the back where I could put those on. So you can't really see them, but that holds it up off that bead roll right there, where it still has a good solid mounting foundation. So another sticky note we can throw in the trash. So next thing I'm going to do is mount this clear view oil filter here. About said clear vision, clear view, whatever. So I've got it in my mind, if I can hold it without dropping it, where I'm going to put it. I kind of want to consider the plumbing and mounting all this stuff. So the inlet for the oil going into the engine is right there. So the pump's on the other side, obviously, but I wanted to mount the filter on the side where the inlet to the engine is. But also, I got to consider the headers, and don't pay attention to them tubes. They're just kind of mock up right now to kind of, I've got some ideas flowing with that. But the oil filter, I think I'm going to mount right here. So that will allow the line to come in and go right back out that same side and go back down the engine. Plus, I've got the tire laying here to make sure I've got clearance. I've got plenty of clearance here for the tire. So nothing's going to come out this side. Maybe the turbo oil feed will come out of that port right there and go down over to the turbo. I'm not sure quite yet on that, but probably so. So I might go behind this and put a plate, because that sheet metal, this is not that light. It probably weighs 5 or 6 pounds or something. But I don't want to bend my sheet metal in there, so I may put a larger plate on the back of it, just something to give it some extra support whenever I bolt it up. So let's get that mounted up, and then that'll be one more thing done. So nothing fancy, just a 1/4 inch aluminum plate. This is actually a piece of scrap we had in the back that was pretty good size. So just cut the holes, gonna put that on the back side, and that'll transfer the load across that piece of sheet metal a little better. And that's it. I put the wheel on just to ensure that I would have clearance when it strokes out, or goes in rather. These lines will come in and then or out and then in the same size right underneath that tube. So that'll work out great. Another sticky note. in the trash. Right here, the last few minutes, I've pulled out the fuel filter, the fuel pressure regulator, and the back pressure sensor canister. I went ahead and screwed the sensors in these things and the fittings, the bracket, just to see physically how much room they're going to take up. And I'm just kind of smoking over some ideas before I leave for the weekend to see where I want to put these things. The fuel pressure regulator is going to go there. Just in my mind, that's going to look the best. That's going to, as far as running the plumbing and stuff, that's going to be the best location. So we'll get that mounted next week. The back pressure canister, probably going to go right there on the lower end of that motor plate, so we can come out of the back pressure port, which is right there, and curl the line into this thing. So just trying to get my plan laid out. I've actually drawn myself a little diagram for all the vacuum lines, or the MAP pressure lines, and the CO2 lines and all that stuff, to try to minimize the plumbing. And you don't want plumbing going across the car, then back across the car, then back across the car. You want to, you know, reduce the amount of home runs to a certain, you know, the wastegate or whatever else, because you don't want plumbing just going everywhere. You want to just minimize it. So that's pretty much it. Next week we're going to be continuing on mounting that stuff, and maybe get a start on the headers. I started the headers this week, just putting some tubes in there, getting some ideas. You've seen the tubes in the earlier parts of this video that I had just mocked up. The problem is I've got a bunch of tight radius stuff, and if you build an entire header out of tight radius, it almost looks square. You remember the grub worm headers I did, not this past time, but the time before? They were real, you know, had a lot of tight corners and stuff. And sometimes that's needed, but they look a lot more sexy if you can keep the radiuses big and stuff on the tubing. That makes them look like they flow a lot better, just visually. So I called Profab, and I got some big radius bends on the way to go along with the tight radius bends, and maybe get something figured out as far as that goes next week, or a start on it. But remember, plumbing is the 8th of April, so all this stuff in the engine bay has to pretty much be figured out and in place, so whenever Mike comes, he can run everything. And try to get the brake stuff mounted next week too. Like I said, I've got a big list of stuff that's got to be mounted in the engine bay before plumbing can be done. So we'll just continue on with that next week. Thanks for watching.